I drank through even more tequilas and ranked them in a tier list. I went through 30 different bottles and expressions of tequila and ranked them from F all the way to S tier. I give you my honest opinions, and let's get right into it. All right, let's start off with something that is new to the US, but not actually a new brand. This is Entre Manos. Entre Manos comes from Nome 1523 and is distilled by master distiller Jaime Villalobos Souza. All right, let's taste it, and how do I rank it? Really great agave forward aroma, but also a little minerally and a little herbal as well. I'm getting that great cooked agave flavor. Those herbs and minerals really come through in the palate as well. And some like black pepper spice right at the end. I think I could comfortably put Entre Manos into the A tier of tequila bottles out there. They also have a still strength as well. And I am usually a sucker for still strengths. So how does this one compare? On the nose, I'm getting a lot more of those minerals, and it's a little bit more punchy in the nose. That's really nice. Yes, you get more of that heat from the higher ABV, but truthfully, it's not just the heat. It's an accentuation of that cooked agave flavor. It's that accentuation of the herbal vegetal flavor as well. I think I might have to put this one into the S tier category. Yeah, it's that good. Talking about another newish brand, at least new to me, we have Campo Azul 1940. And Campo Azul 1940 is made at Nome 1416. And I should say that Campo Azul 1940 shouldn't be confused with the regular Campo Azul. There is another brand, but 1940, I believe, is their better line of product. Let's start off with the Blanco. On the nose, good cooked agave, some citrus, a little bit of spice. Whoa. That's really nice. That black pepper and citrus really is present on the palate. That nice agave flavor is there. This is a very nice kind of like entry-level Blanco. I would say like a B plus A minus. I'm gonna sit the fence on that one. But how about the Reposado? It's a very light repo, as you can see, not too dark, but you get a good amount of that oak flavor. That black pepper is still a very prominent note to it, and you still get a lot of the characteristics from the Blanco in the repo. Overall, again, super solid B plus kind of tequila. It's a good repo. B plus, man, that's killer. All right, and now we have Tequila Suave. I got these bottles a while back, and I'll be honest with you, I've not been excited to try them. They look like they're trying too hard. I don't like how they're like weirdly like bent. They're not attractive to me. Well, after I did a little bit of research, turns out that Tequila Suave is actually made at the same distillery as Entre Manos and Quintaliza, but I had never really heard about it prior to receiving these bottles. But all right, let's pour some of this out. It's got an interesting aroma to it. It's a little minerally, a little herbal. It's a little funky, but that's not bad. That's pretty good. There's a nice little minerality. There's a nice herbal element, a little vegetal. I do think the price on this is a little bit higher, like $90 roughly. So that's kind of expensive for a Blanco. I think there are better Blancos much cheaper. That's like a B minus. I'd put this in the B minus category. All right, next up is the Reposado. All right, let's pour some out. Ooh, that's a very interesting aroma. There's this weird, almost like floral, maybe like kind of like a foresty aroma. I don't know how to describe it. Kind of smells like Christmas. It's a very interesting, funky aroma. That's a very unique flavor. It actually drinks a lot like a whiskey. In a quick little search, it seems like this one costs a lot more than the Blanco. It's like $150, it seems, from some online retailers. If you were into whiskey and you really wanted to get into tequila and you didn't mind spending $150, maybe this would be the right thing for you. I just don't know who this is for. C plus B minus on the repo here. All right, now moving along to the anejo. It's a nice and dark color, and I'm wondering if the repo tasted that much like whiskey. I wonder what the anejo will be like. The price on this that I could find online was like $180, $85, so not a cheap tequila. The nose, really reminds me of a bourbon or a whiskey. I'm getting more caramel, I'm getting more vanilla, I'm getting more of that oak. Yeah, this one really doesn't even taste like a tequila to me. Like the back, right on the back end, you get some of that agave, but truthfully, like it drinks like a whiskey. And I don't really mean that as a compliment. If I wanted to drink whiskey, I would drink whiskey. I have to put this in C, actually. I think it's too expensive. It's a little muddled. I don't know. Again, I'm still not sure who this is for. And lastly, we have their Lunar. Let's pour some out. Again, this one, from what I could find online, it's like $100, $110 for this bottle. Aroma's nice. It's got that agave aroma, which is nice to see that back. A little bit of citrus, a little bit of spice. It's a little rounded out comparison to the regular Blanco. That's good. It's okay. That's actually pretty decent. It's pretty tasty. I can't get over the price, man. Like, that's a lot of money for a barrel rested Blanco. Yeah, I'd have to put this one in C+ as well. I think the best one is their Blanco only because it's the cheapest. But overall, taking into account all of these, I am very surprised that I didn't hate them. I thought I was gonna despise these just by looking at them. But that being said, I was pleasantly surprised at how much I didn't hate this. And I actually kind of liked it. But speaking about barrel rested Blancos, we have Tequila Ensueno. Now, Ensueno is a tequila that I had their batch #1, and I actually was with them down at BCB. We got to make some special cocktails together, and I got to do a panel with Matt from the brand, which was awesome. But anyway, Tequila Ensueno. It is made at NOM 1580 by master distiller Sergio Cruz and master blender Oscar Vasquez. But what's really special about this, like I mentioned, is that it is a barrel rested Blanco, and it spent about 18 days in an extra rare former bourbon cask. Let's taste this and see what I think. On the nose, I'm getting incredible notes of citrus, and it's a little floral as well, which is really nice. You get some incredible citrus notes on the palate. That florality is very present, and it being rested for 18 days, it kind of just gives it a little bit of a mellow out, so it provides this really nice smooth sensation as you're sipping it. That savoriness that's a little bit salty, a little bit briny, is so underrated. I know a lot of cocktail creators talk about like adding like saline to a cocktail. I find that using this in a cocktail kind of achieves a similar flavor to it, which makes it really fun. So definitely an A. Absolutely an A. I might even, if I drink enough of this, I might be convinced of making an A+. All right, for the 10th bottle of tequila that we're tasting in this video, I thought I would taste a unicorn that I got gifted a little while back. This is the Pasote. Pasote is no longer made at El Bandido. It has since moved to another distillery. And I've heard from a lot of folks that the Pasote from El Bandido is very special and very different. I don't have a bottle of the Pasote from the new distillery, but I do have this one, and I wanted to taste it and talk about it. All right, let's pour some out. Ooh, on the nose, it's got this really incredible like spice aroma to it, and just like a touch of citrus. You still get that almost like characteristic El Bandido like minerality to it, but it's more subdued than say like in a H4 or a Volans. Overall, the spice is what really comes through in that Blanco, and this is an easy A+. Might even sneak into S tier, but like it's sad that they won't be able to produce anymore. Thank you, you know who you are, who gave me this bottle. I really, really appreciate it. Speaking of bottles of tequila that were gifted to me by guests at my bar, we have the Suerte Still Strength. This was a gift from some friends who come into my bar pretty often. So thankful for them, and let's give this Still Strength a try. On the nose, I get a ton of vegetalness. That agave comes through, a little bit of citrus. All right, let's taste it. Really nice, punchy, grassy, vegetal flavors. Something that comes to mind in terms of herbals, like mint. It's kind of like refreshing in your mouth. Because it's so high proof, it's like this weird like 1-2 combo of the mint and then a little bit of that like cooked agave flavor and a little bit of that heat. Overall, super tasty. Really love this. This is an easy A. This is Easy A, a good movie, by the way, which has a line that makes me die laughing every time I see it.
But we're a family of late bloomers. I didn't until I was 14, nor did Olive.
Why does that matter? I'm adopted.
What? Oh my God! Who told you?
Keeping up with talking about still strength tequilas, we have El Ateo. They are out of Guanajuato in Mexico, and it's one of the only tequilas being made in Guanajuato, which is part of the DO for tequila. Now, I did have a problem with this bottle. I have 3 bottles of El Ateo, and this still strength, unfortunately, the same thing happened. It's a very heavy base for the cork and just ripped off, which I know has nothing to do with what is on the inside of the bottle, but it just, I like corks. Minor gripe, ignore me on that end. It's not that big of a deal. Anyway, I think that this is a gorgeous bottle, and I really do enjoy their other expressions. But what about their still strength? On the nose, it's a little earthy, a little herbal, a little vegetal. Interesting, it also has a little bit of like a minty herbal flavor. It's got this interesting finish too. It's like a little funky, a little different. I like that a lot. I would say that El Ateo still strength is a B+ tequila. I think that's really, really tasty. I love what they're doing. I hope that they continue to create really cool stuff. Since we seem to be on this high proof kind of train, let's keep the fun going. It's a very special edition of the Tequila Ocho Puntas from this year. Master distilled by Carlos Camarena, who is a very prominent figure in the tequila space, but who's also an amazing human being. Puntas is a special edition that they release every year. I'm a big fan of Ocho. I really am. So I'm excited for this. Haha, that sounds great. That bodes well, you know? Whoa, that nose is crazy. You've got incredible like aroma of citrus, and it's a little earthy. That's so good. That is so good. That's such a special flavor. Good amounts of earth, which is nice. That cooked agave is very present. It's just, that's an A+. That's an A+. Tequila Cierto. Cierto is a brand that is trying to kind of go for that kind of premium, tall bottle look, but does it live up to the height of their bottle and maybe the hype of the brand? This bottle of the Blanco Reserve is like $100. It is a stunning bottle. I like it, right? I like it. I'm not the biggest fan of super tall bottles. I usually am not a fan, but I think that they are doing it differently than other bottles in a classy way, and it does still look nice. That cork pull sounds very good. On the nose, that is an incredible, in-your-face, punchy agave aroma. A little bit of like a vegetal kind of thing. There's not much spice on the nose, but on the flavor, there's this really nice spice to it that just makes you want to keep sipping. It's got this robust agave forward flavor, and that spice comes in to kind of just keep going, drink a little bit more, drink a little bit more, drink a little bit more. Overall, I've got to say this is a nice solid B. I won't put it higher because I think that the price, it's $100, so it's like, you know, it's not cheap by any means. This is actually a really well-made tequila. It comes from a great distillery. It's very tasty. I'm gonna give it a B. All right, next up is the Reposado. Nice. It's nice and light as a repo, and I believe the price of this is about like $130, if I'm not mistaken. So right on the nose, I'm getting a little bit of spice, a little bit of citrus, some good cooked agave. It's got the velvety texture to it, really nice and easy to sip on. That agave flavor is present, but you get some of that barrel influence. You get some of that caramel, you get some of that vanilla. It's got a little bit of the best of the both worlds, and that black pepper that's so present in the Blanco is still there. Overall, I really enjoyed this one. I would give this one a B. Maybe a B+ on the repo, just because I think it does well to showcase both sides of the natural agave flavor and the barrel is present. And next up, the anejo. Oh, that one didn't do it. Much darker than the repo. Obviously, it's an anejo. It's aged longer. Louis, you dummy. And on the nose, I'm getting way more of that like caramel and oak and like barrel aroma. Not so much the agave, maybe just like a hint of that black pepper spice. It's got some of that, you know, buttery, velvety texture. It's got some of that spice, but I feel like it's actually more subdued. I think that the barrel really starts to take on more of the flavor, and I think that this one, it gets a little muddied, in my opinion. It's not really sure if it wants to have the tequila flavor or the barrel flavor. It's still overall enjoyable to sip on, I would personally prefer the Repo and the Blanco to this anejo. So I think I'd have to say this is like a B-. Still good, but still not, it's not as good as the Repo. All right, for the last one that we have from Cierto is their extra anejo. On the nose, I'm getting some of that barrel, obviously. Caramel, tiny bit of citrus. This is surprising to me. I really prefer this over the regular añejo. That barrel is so unique. It actually reminds me a little bit of like a rye whiskey, and I love rye whiskey. I'm a big Rittenhouse rye fan, and for whatever reason, this is kind of giving me some of those vibes. I think that the tequila probably has that spice to it, and then the barrel really complements it. Because this one's more pronounced in flavor than the añejo, I really enjoyed this one better. I'm gonna have to give this a B+. Again, these are not cheap by any means, so all of them are a little pricey, so I do factor that into the recommendation and the ranking. Just make sure you test your cork, okay? Make sure it sounds good. All right, next brand I want to talk to you about is Herradura. So Herradura is a brand with a ton of history in Mexico and has been around for a very long time. Today it's owned by Brown-Forman, which is one of the big spirits companies and conglomerates. And it's a brand that has over like 150 years of history. But it's sold to a larger conglomerate, and that's kind of where it is now. Let's taste this. I don't like the nose on that. It smells a little bit like acetone, a little bit. Out of all the bigger mass-produced brands, it's not the worst. I don't love the flavors. There's not much complexity. It's just kind of one note. Definitely C-, D+ kind of range. Maybe let's definitively call it D+. But what I find fascinating is this brand right here, Caballito Cerrero. This bottle was gifted to me by an incredible, I'm not gonna call him a friend. He brought this in for me as a gift, and I told him he didn't have to. Now, what's interesting about this? A couple of things. One, you'll notice that nowhere on this bottle, it'll say tequila. I believe that they got into a little bit of a skirmish here with the CRT. They just don't wanna use tequila as a label anymore, so they don't. But in almost all of the things that they do, this is a tequila. This was founded, I believe, in the 50s by the original family who made Herradura, the ones with all of the history. And what's funny is that I'm not an expert in Spanish by any means, but Caballito Cerrero, it kind of translates to like a horse that doesn't need horseshoes, because Herradura is like, I think it translates to horseshoe, given the horseshoe logo there. So it's kind of like the founder of Caballito Cerrero wanted to set out on his own and create his own path, separate from Herradura. Oh, the nose, very vegetal, very herbal, grassy almost. That vegetal flavor really comes through. There's a little bit of spice. That agave is so incredible. I absolutely adore this. This is gonna go into the S tier for me. It is that good. It is absurdly incredible. That is awesome. Really good stuff. So I want to talk to you guys about a very special bottle. The problem is I have none of it left. I have one of, I think, like 15 of these like 375 bottles of the 2024 Fortaleza Winter Blend. I got this when I was down in Mexico in August. I was invited by Fortaleza to come down on the press trip for the Winter Blend 2024. I'm gonna come out and tell you right now, the 2024 Winter Blend is probably my favorite Winter Blend that I've had. They use a blend of their still strength and a cream sherry cask aged tequila, and it's out of this fucking world. All right, let's see if I can get that last little drop out so we can talk about the flavor. The cream sherry gives it this incredible creamy vanilla-like flavor that's very natural. I'll say this right now, it's an S. It's an absolute S, like all the other stuff that they make, and it's really cool because I have a bottle with my name on it, and it's very special to me. I'm gonna keep this bottle probably forever. So, all right, and the next brand we want to talk about is El Bandido Yankee. And this is a brand of tequila that was founded in 2020. One of the founders is a former NFL player, and it's coming out of Gnome 1107. Let's start off with the Blanc. A good cooked agave aroma, nice citrus, a little floral, maybe. Wow, that's not bad. That's pretty good. And I think this bottle only comes in at like 40 bucks, so it's not too expensive. It's got like a nice minty, flowery kind of flavor with a little bit of that spice. It's a little like a slightly bit harsh on the finish with the, you know, the alcohol burn. It's not nothing crazy. I'll go with B-. I think it's pretty good. I think it's pretty decent. All right, next up is the Reposado. The nose is giving me a lot of that agave aroma, some spice like cinnamon. You get some of that oak, some of that barrel. I found the nose to be more enjoyable than the palate. It's still, I feel like it somehow got a little bit harsher. The oak is present, not overpowering, but a lot of the things that I really enjoyed about the Blanco are now gone. I'd put this as a C. Definitely a C. Not terribly made, I don't think. Like, I think it tastes okay. Between this and the Blanco, I prefer the Blanco quite a bit. I would put this at a C. And lastly, the Anejo. This one has a very interesting nose. I get like a spice, but like a hot spice, like a little bit like a peppery, like a jalapeno or like a habanero or I'm trying to think of other spicy peppers. But you get some of that oak right on the nose, a little bit of that caramel. That's good. That's pretty decent. I would say this is a firm B-. B-. C+. I still think I really like the Blanco way better. This is a C+. All right, next up is Tequila Koko. And this is the Tequila Plata. And I'll tell you this right now, the bottle is like very unique. It's really kind of classy. I think the price on this, I think it's like 80 bucks roughly. And it's made at Nome 1604. Right, what do I think about this? The nose is very interesting. It's like fresh and bright, kind of like vegetal, but there's like a little bit of a weird twang to it. It's got like kind of like a minty, like anisey, maybe licorice kind of flavor going on. I'm not really quite sure what to make of it. I know a lot of folks really enjoy it. I'm not really sold on that. It's kind of flat. I mean, it's not flat, it has flavor. It's got that agave flavor. It's got that minty kind of licorice thing going for it. It's just not good to me. I don't love it, especially for that price too, 80 bucks. Like, that's expensive. It's unique, don't get me wrong. I don't think I've ever tasted a tequila kind of like it, but that doesn't mean it's unique in a good way. Maybe C, just because of the price. And a part of me is wondering if I just didn't get a good batch, because I've heard some people who I know really enjoy this, so I'm not really sure what's going on here. I was not sold though. But one brand that I have been sold on and I enjoy quite a lot is Mijenta, but I don't think I've ever talked about their Gran Reserva Anejo. This is a limited batch Anejo that they only made, I think like something like 3,000 something bottles. I love the stuff that Mijenta regularly makes. Anytime they come up with a special edition, I'm usually all for it. But what about this one? I should have smelled it, but I went straight into the sip. Sorry, guys. One of the things that I've always really respected about Mijenta is that they really keep the characteristics of what makes a Mijenta tequila kind of special. And I think that they've actually found a way to achieve that with their añejo. Usually when you age something a little bit longer, you kind of subdue those flavors. But the barrels actually kind of enhance that flavor. It was aged for 18 months in American oak, French oak, acacia, and cherry wood. So it provides really cool, fun barrel flavors without losing that essence of what makes a Mijenta tequila really good. I think this is a very solid B+. I think it's expensive. It's like 180 to 200 bucks. So I can't put it into like A category. It's a B+. Very solid, very nice añejo, easy to sip on, really good stuff. And speaking of Mijenta, they actually released their first Maestra Selección, which is like a master selection bottle. It's their first single batch, as well as the first tequila, I'm pretty sure in history, that is 100% grown from agave from seeds. And this is their first high proof, and I'm a sucker for high proof Blancos. The nose is very floral, keeping in with that Mijenta kind of tradition. It has a really great citrusy flavor. That high proof brings a lot of that cooked agave flavor forward. But what's interesting is that it's floral on the nose, but not so much on the palate. A part of me just wishes that it was like a little bit more present, just so that it kind of kept it in line a little bit more with what Mijenta has been doing with all of their other expressions. I would put this all as well into B+. I think that it's very incredible, very solid, but I think they can do a little bit more. You know what I mean? I think it's an incredible initiative, and I hope other folks do this because it leads to more sustainability. But if I'm giving a rank based solely on what it tastes like, I can't put it higher than a B+. So speaking of like special edition expressions, I have this bottle from Insolito. It's a celebrity-owned brand. It's owned by a brand called Midland. I don't know who these people are. Maybe I'm out of touch with the youths.
How do you do, fellow kids?
Insolito has always been one of my few exceptions on the celebrity tequila thing because I do genuinely enjoy what they do. But this is the extra anejo, and I believe this retails for like 150 bucks. So it's supposed to be a special tequila. Ooh, the nose on that. It's hard to describe. It's got like a sharp, almost fruity note to it. You get some of that aroma from the barrel. All right, on the palate, it's got a lot of that barrel characteristics. It's got like a dried fruit, kind of like tang to it. Makes kind of like your mouth pucker, kind of like tannins in a wine. I don't know, I've never really experienced that in a tequila. It's nice, it's sharp, it's really tasty. That's really good, actually. You get a lot of complexity in there. I think it stands out, it's unique. Shit, guys, this is good. This is very good. Yeah, I'm gonna go with an A-, maybe A. Let's just give it an A. We'll give it an A. All right, and now for the last brand I wanna talk to you about today, we have Alto Canto. They are made at a purpose-built distillery that only makes them, and this distillery was built at over 9,000 feet in elevation in the mountains in Jalisco. Apparently, this is the highest distillery on the planet. Altitude does funky things to, you know, these processes. So in terms of like fermentation, apparently the fermentation is faster. Anyway, right here I have a regular Blanco. No, just kidding, that's the high proof Blanco, the regular Blanco, and their Reposado. And let's start with the regular Blanco. This is like an $80 bottle, I believe, for their Blanco, which I don't love. Ooh, on the nose, super minerally. Like it reminds me of something from like El Pandillo, like very minerally, a little savory, a little briny red on the front, very punchy. That is so unique. Holy shit. It's very citrusy. It's a little black pepperiness. I think these are also open air fermented. That's the word. So I think that like some of that natural funk from like the wild yeast really creates a very unique flavor profile. That's very enjoyable. For 80 bucks, I'd put like a B+ on this one. The regular Blanco, maybe a B+. You know what I just remembered? The reason that I think it has that nice inherent funkiness is actually because it's fermented with fibers. And I'm saying I remembered, but I looked at my notes. And yet here we have the high proof Blanco, which you guys know I'm a sucker for high proofs. I think that this one might actually be able to, hopefully maybe, you know, win me over a little bit. It costs about 90 bucks for the bottle. On the nose, you still get that like funky punchiness, a little bit more like turned up a little bit because it is a little bit more higher proof. It's 48% ABV, whereas the regular Blanco is just 40. Wow. For some reason in that high proof, it just sings. Oh man. Like off rip, like first impressions, this is an A. I would be convinced to even put this as an A+. I know it's 90 bucks, so I'm trying to factor that in, but I love those funky, you know, fiber distilled, fiber fermented tequilas. That is freaking good, man. That's so good. And last but not least, we have, oh shit, almost dropped it. We have the Reposado of the Alto Canto. Whoa, that nose is crazy. That smells nothing like either of those other two. Maybe it's fall and I've got apples on the mind, but there's a really big like apple-y aroma to it. You got some good oak, a little bit of vanilla, a little bit of caramel. A caramel apple, who doesn't love that? Dude, there is a fruity flavor that I can't, whoa, that's nuts. I think that wild fermentation and obviously the fact that it's being aged up in this mountain, like it's getting some of that flavor from the surrounding like agriculture. You get some vanilla from the barrel, you get some of that, you know, agave, some minerality. I think this one's actually a little bit more expensive than the still strength, but still also really good. I'd put it into A-. I think that maybe just their Blanco is the one that's kind of like, this is an A-. That's, wow. That's good. And so there you have it. Me suffering through drinking 30, even more tequila brands for your enjoyment, and so that I could give you my honest opinion on all of these. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you want to check out the other two videos in this series, I'm gonna leave them linked over here. I don't know if you can see it because there's a fucking million bottles. But anyway, check it out right here.